What's happening around the world and what's happening here at home. A very good evening and welcome to Weekend Primetime News. I'm Sandra Ferdinando. Let's take a look at your headlines for tonight.
Finance Secretary stance on Sri Lanka's economy. Rest of the country bears the burden of the economic crisis, while CBSL employees enjoy salary hikes, MP Godaheva reveals. PUCSL demands for revised CEV tariff proposal. Large portion of Sri Lanka's population are extensive social media users. Digital Outlook finds. US Senate delegation visits Sri Lanka to discuss recent legislation, including the Online Safety Act.
Starting off with news here at home, Secretary to the Treasury and Ministry of Finance, Manaya Terrors, says that adhering to the current economic policies can revitalize the economy within years. He made this statement while speaking to reporters about accusations of inaccurate information impacting decision-making.
පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ සමහර මන්ත්‍රීවරු චෝදනා කරා මුදල් අමාත්‍යාංශයේ ජනාධිපතිතුමාට වැරදි තොරතුරු ලබා දෙනවා. මුදල් අමාත්‍යාංශයේ ලේකම්තුමාට කියන්නේ.
ඔබතුමාට හිතෙන්නේ නැද්ද අපි වැරදි ඩේටා සහ වැරදි තොරතුරු දුන්න නිසා තමයි අපි රට වැටුනේ කියලා. රට වැටුනේ මේ තොරතුරු නිමය.
Don't you think Sri Lanka may have faced challenges due to inaccurate data or incomplete information provided? If we had provided him with accurate information, the country wouldn't have dropped to this state. Am I the only one of such a stance? As a country, isn't it our duty to avoid such a situation? For 2 years, I warned the Central Bank's Monetary Board about a looming crisis, a burden only my wife truly understands. We are tackling a long-standing issue, one that won't be resolved overnight. It's an issue spanning 15 to 25 years, requiring sustained commitment. The road ahead is long. These changes are challenging for the people. We are not denying that. We will change this around and return to normalcy. We have to face another year or two of hardship. While many in our country don't contribute through taxes, some do. We can reduce the high taxes once everyone starts to contribute. Temporary difficulties are unfortunately unavoidable. However, if we face them together with national unity, I'm sure that a brighter future waits in 2 or 3 years.
MP Dr. Harendra De Silva says that wrong policies and weaknesses in management led to the bankruptcy of the country.
Wrong principles and policies are the main reason behind this country's downfall, because the whole world was battered by the COVID-19 pandemic. But the only bankrupt country in Asia for the past 50 years is Sri Lanka, who implemented these policies. That was proven by the recent Supreme Court case. Therefore, the next course of action should be understanding the situation and the issues at hand in detail and to do the required policy changes. I feel sorry for Harendra De Silva because during his tenure as Deputy Governor of the CBSL, he has voiced his concern about the potential economic downfall and the need for an urgent IMF negotiation to then Governor Cabral on multiple occasions. But the previous regime took no notice of it. A main reason for this issue is appointing politicians as officials. They acted in favor of their respective political leaders and gave false information.
MP Nalaka Gunawardena criticized the government for selectively increasing salaries of central bank employees and pensioners, leaving other sectors without raises.
While we face the current hardships, the government is of the stance that every citizen of the nation must bear the burden of the economic crisis. But the central bank should take direct responsibility for government's economic management. But reports have surfaced that central bank employees have been granted a significant salary increases over 70% since January. A deputy governor's salary has increased by about rupees 700,000. The salary of whoever below them has been increased by around rupees 500,000. The salaries of those who have been given assistance now exceed rupees 183,000. So how has the central bank been able to increase the salary unfairly in this way? The central bank should be directly responsible for this economic crisis, for this financial crisis, for this bankruptcy. How can those who are the very reason for the economic crisis just revise salaries as and when they want? This isn't just for the employees. They have also increased the amount paid to pensioners by about Rs 55,000. We wouldn't object to salary increases as long as they occur with a robust and equitable economic system that benefits everyone. The Public Utilities Commission has instructed the Ceylon Electricity Board to submit a revised proposal for reducing electricity tariffs before 22nd of February.
The Public Utilities Commission instructed the Ceylon Electricity Board to submit a revised proposal following public consultations on the 15th of February regarding electricity tariff revisions. Nearly 40 people voiced their opinions during the consultation, with many expressing the need for a larger percentage reduction in charges that the Electricity Board revision proposed by the board. In response, the Public Utilities Commission has instructed the board to re-examine and revise their proposal, taking into account all the feedback received. During the recent public consultation, the Ceylon Electricity Board's acting general manager acknowledged the high cost per unit of the electricity.
Currently, our cost per kilowatt hour is 40 rupees and 76 cents. Out of that, 3 rupees will be spent on production, 79 rupees on transmission and 3 rupees and 70 cents on distribution. The capacity charge is 7 rupees and 62 cents. The corporate cost of the company is 1 rupee and 6 cents and the financial cost is 4 rupees and 3 cents. This totals to 40 rupees and 76 cents, which is significantly higher than the average cost in our region. Ideally, this cost should be around 30 rupees and 31 cents. Currently, we have an excess of 28 rupees compared to the regional average. This requires bringing it down to 22 rupees. The financial cost at 4 rupees and 3 cents exceeds the global benchmark of 4 rupees and 50 cents for similar companies. Optimizing this area would save 80 cents per kilowatt hour. By implementing these changes, our overall expenses would be closer to those of other countries, making electricity more affordable for consumers.
Meanwhile, the Employees Union of the Public Utilities Commission said that the current electricity rates can be reduced by 20 to 25%. Earlier, the PUCSL said that it will take steps to revise the electricity tariffs before next month. Growing demands for reducing electricity tariffs and providing relief to the public arise amidst increased hydropower generation and reported profits from the previous year. Meanwhile, CEB spokesperson Noel Prianta said that thermal power generation was increased to 63%. The Ceylon Electricity Board predicted that dry weather in Sri Lanka will continue limiting hydropower generation. General Secretary of the Electricity Users Association Sanjeeva Damika raised concerns about potential inconsistencies in the reported profit figures of the Ceylon Electricity Board.
Reports surfaced this morning indicating a rise in profits from 48 billion rupees to 58 billion rupees within a few days. We have been informed that the final accounts are still under preparation and will be presented by February 28th. Given these developments, we have requested the swift completion of the final accounts. We also reiterated the importance of providing consumers with detailed bills rather than relying on simplified strips that cost approximately 2 rupees each. The estimated annual cost of these strips at 5.5 billion rupees raises concerns about unnecessary expenses. We urge all stakeholders, including the chairman, board members and officers, to collaborate and address this issue.
When's the election?
Opposition leader Sajid Premadasa argues that government actions contradict their claims of prioritizing Buddhism despite highlighting it extensively. He expressed these views during a program held in Anuradhapura.
Under the theme Vinayagaraka Samajyak Udesa, loosely translated to For a Disciplined Society, the Samagi Jana Balavegya today held the Anuradhapura district leg of its Bhikkhu Advisory Committee program. The event saw the participation of the Mahasangha, opposition leader Sajid Premadasa, and other SJB MPs.
Instead of relying on unproven solutions, we should critically examine the programs implemented for the people between 2015 and 2019. Learning from those experiences will prevent us from falling for harmful narratives and repeating situations like the one under Gotabaya Rajapaksa.
නැත්තං ගෝඨාභය අංක 2 නොබෝසත්තු නොරජවන්නයි බෝසත් ලක්ෂණ නැති කෙනෙක් ලංකාවේ රාජ්‍යත්වයට පත් නොවිය යුතුයි කියලා. ඒක තමයි අපේ සිම්බල් එක.
That is our mandate. We should not depart from it at any cost. The project related to the development of temples and religious places done by the Central Cultural Funds was done according by Sajid Premadasa during his tenure as a minister. We gave life to this concept. He is the leader of it.
සංකල්පය අපි පොළවේ ප්‍රරෝහණය කළා. එහි නියමුවා හැටියට ඉන්නවා ටිප් টොප් එකට එතෙන්දී. ඒක හරි හොඳයි.
සෞඛ්‍ය පැත්තෙන් ගත්තාම අද බෙහෙත් ටිකක් නැහැ.
We are facing a medicine shortage and a crumbling education system to food insecurity and the painful label of bankrupt nation. We learned in social studies of an underdeveloped Sri Lanka, but this current reality feels like a regression. Where has our country gone? Therefore, you have a mammoth task on your shoulder to revitalize our nation.
මේ සමාජය සුවපත් කරන්න අද ආණ්ඩු පක්ෂයේ කරන බොහෝ දේවල් අපිට පේනවා කරන්න.
Today we can see that the actions of the government are making other parties more favorable in the eyes of the public. If we ask the speaker to pass a birth certificate as a death certificate, that will be done just like that. We can ask that the parliament is very lenient in passing serious legislation.
විපක්ෂයේ කොච්චර පෙන්වා දුන්නත් බොහොම අඳබාල ලෙස ඒවා සම්මත කරගන්න ස්වරූපයක් අද දකින්න ලැබේ.
මේ බිහිවෙමින් තිබෙන සිත්පිත් නැති සමාජය.
The society is turning into an emotionless, disciplineless place. We believe that a solution cannot solely rely on political intervention.
මෙවැනි අර්බුදයන්ට මුහුණ දීපු හැම විටම පෙරට වැඩියේ අපේ ගෞරවනීය මහා සංඝරත්නය බව.
අද අපි ස්වාමීන් වහන්සේලා දේශපාලන වේදිකාවට නන්වන්න නෙවෙයි.
We do not seek to politicize the Mahasangha today, but rather to solicit their wisdom and guidance. Rebuilding our nation for future generations is a collective responsibility. We must work together to ensure its stability and prosperity.
අනේක මේ රටේ බෞද්ධ ශිෂ්ටාචාරය ආරක්ෂා කරන එක අපේ යුතුකමක් වෙනවා.
බුද්ධ ආගමට මුල් තැන දෙනවලු. එහෙම කියන ආණ්ඩු ක්‍රම ව්‍යවස්ථා. ඔබ වහන්සේලම දන්නවා. ශාසන ආරක්ෂක බල මණ්ඩල.
The constitution gives priority to Buddhism. We all are aware that this is a country that is unable to sponsor prizes for the winners of the Dhamma school exams and competitions. This is a shame. They disconnected electricity to Mihintale. They continue to insult the chief incumbent of Mihintale. This should change. We should all work towards the preservation and protection of Buddhism. In a new regime led by this JB, we will make maximum sacrifices to free this country from economic terrorists who have written the entire country to themselves and their family members with a freehold deed and bankrupted us. We will conduct this mission along with the Mahasangha.
උපරිම කැපකිරීම කරලා මේ රට ආර්ථික ත්‍රස්තවාදීන්ගෙන් මුදවා ගැනීමේ ඒ මහා මානුෂීය මෙහෙයුම ගෞරවනීය වන්දනීය අතිපූජනීය මහා සංඝරත්නයේ මූලිකත්වයෙන් ඒ ප්‍රයත්නය ඉෂ්ට සිද්ධ කරන්නට අපි අදහස් කරනවා.
The Maubima Janata Party held its Colombo district conference today.
Maubima රචයන සතුටුදයක් අභිමානනීය සතුටුදයක් නව අදහස් පිරි සතුටුදයක්.
The Maubima Janata Party, led by Dilip Jaivira, held a Colombo district conference today at Sugadadasa Indoor Stadium in Colombo. Religious leaders, representatives of Maubima Janata Party and other groups participated in this event.
ඔබගේ ජීවිතය වෙනස් වන නිර්මාණශීලී ශ්‍රී ලංකාව නිර්මාණය කර ගැනීම සඳහා
In order to create a Sri Lanka that is filled with creativity and a one that will change your life, we believe that the concept of entrepreneurship, which is used by all developed countries in the world, should be passed to you as well. By doing so, we can gather people with creativity and create a significant impact in the country. Our action plan empowers everyone from those facing everyday challenges to those actively contributing to the nation's wealth. This isn't just theory, it's a roadmap fueled by your aspirations and designed to transform your lives. The large turnout today reflects a shared motivation for uplifting our nation. We have not come here to complain. We have come to motivate you. In order to free this country from corruption, in order to come out of the vicious cycle of corruption that we are facing today, we all have to be motivated and face it as a nation. This country cannot be rebuilt even if we catch thieves one by one and put them in jail, or even if we catch thieves and find some stolen goods. That is a false story. I wish all of you to have an opportunity to create something great that makes you happy.
ප්‍රාර්ථනා කරනවා ජයෙන් ජයම සතුරු දෙයක් නිර්මාණය කර ගැනීමට අවස්ථාව ලැබේවා. ස්තුති නන්රි තෙරුවන් සරණයි.
Several groups have begun discussing concerns that the Online Safety Act may impose censorship on social media. What are the potential societal effects of such legislation? And what are the accurate facts about Sri Lanka's digital usage? The 2024 Sri Lanka Digital Outlook was released, revealing several key findings. What is the Digital Outlook?
The annual Digital Outlook is published by the Asia Pacific Institute of Digital Marketing in collaboration with the Department of Marketing Management at the University of Kelaniya.
What were the key takeaways on social media usage?
67% of the Sri Lankan population, which is 14 million individuals, are internet users. In Sri Lanka, 93% of the internet users possess smartphones and 67% own laptops. The use of smartwatches has increased significantly at 17.20%. The most popular platform for sharing news and updates with friends and others in Sri Lanka is WhatsApp, accounting for 93.91%. 44.96% share news through Facebook and 33.25% share news through Messenger. Facebook is the most used social media app and it is 85.41%. 82.28% use YouTube. This study reveals a key fact. A large portion of our population, particularly the youth, are extensive social media users.
U.S. Ambassador Julie Chang hosted a delegation from the U.S. to discuss Sri Lanka's economic reforms and concerns about recent legislation, particularly the Online Safety Act.
This week, U.S. Ambassador to Sri Lanka Julie Chang welcomed a senior professional staff delegation from the U.S. Senate Foreign Relations Committee to Sri Lanka. She posted on X that the delegation is in Sri Lanka to gain deeper insights into the country's political and economic landscape. They met with government officials and diverse stakeholders to learn about economic reforms and discuss concerns regarding recent legislation, including the Online Safety Act.
A group of healthcare workers protested against the Deputy Director of the National Hospital in Colombo, Dr. Rukshan Bellana, opposite the hospital premises this morning.
The healthcare workers' demonstration was joined by the members of the Sri Lanka Free Health Service Union. Tension flared at the National Hospital in Colombo yesterday afternoon as a cohort of junior staff staged a protest against Deputy Director Dr. Rukshan Bellana. Security forces had to make extensive efforts to get Dr. Rukshan Bellana out of his office. Deputy Director of the National Hospital in Colombo expressed views on the matter.
I will not leave the hospital unless the nursing staff requests my departure. A majority of the staff, 10,800 out of 11,000, still support me. Therefore, I see no reason to leave. There are surprising reports claiming I'm locked in my office. Of course, I'm in my office daily. I cannot leave before 5 p.m. After work, I go home just like yesterday. The only difference yesterday was the presence of police security. However, that dummy was not me. I left after fulfilling my daily duties.
Those who joined the protest this morning had this to say.
නැවත කොයි මොහොතකරි එතුමා මෙතෙන්ට ආවොත් නැවත වතාවක් මේ ප්‍රශ්නේ ජාතික රෝල තුල ඇති වෙන්න පුළුවන් එවන් තත්ත්වයක් ඇති නොකර ගැනීම මං හිතන්නේ අදාළ බලධාරීන්ගේ වගකීමක් වෙනවා.
බෙල්ලන්ට කඩේ ගිය අයියලා මේ රෝල් ජීවිතේ එන්න ඕනේ. අපි මේ විදිහ අපේ සහෝදරත්වයට අපි වැඩ කරගෙන යන්නම්. අපිට බෙල්ලන්ලා වැඩ කරන්න බැරි ආබාධිත අපිට ඕනේ.
Newsfirst with the people.
The High Commissioner of India to Sri Lanka, Santosh Jha, commented on the India-Sri Lanka cooperation project to develop Trincomalee as a regional energy and economic hub.
We are looking at bringing cheap Indian electricity supplies to Sri Lanka through the grid interconnection, which will also perhaps in future enable energy development in this region to export electricity to India. We are, of course, building the land bridge, and once it is constructed, it will bring a lot more business, tourism, potential exchanges between the people, religious tourism and pilgrimage given the importance of this region in that regard, and will improve the economic activity.
Manaya Terrors of the 3-6 have written to President Ranil Wickremesinghe expressing concern that privatizing public resources could jeopardize social stability.
In a letter to President Ranil Wickremesinghe, the Manaya Terrors of the 3-6 advocated for a robust mechanism to safeguard public welfare. They urged the government to prevent political interference, recruitment, misuse of resources, corruption and fraud in public affairs through effective oversight. However, the letter raises concerns regarding the potential impact of privatizing state enterprises on the Buddhist Sangha's autonomy. They question the extent to which such privatization might subject the Sangha to excessive government regulation. The letter adds that the privatizing of government institutions like Sri Lanka Telecom and the Ceylon Electricity Board, which are already financially struggling and critical to the national economy, to foreign companies solely focused on profit risks, creating significant social, economic and political instability in the future. This letter highlights concerns from prominent individuals about the potential consequences of such privatization. The Manaya Terrors urged the President to consider these matters carefully and refrain from making decisions that could jeopardize public welfare or create national security concerns. The letter further emphasizes the need to restructure government institutions, arguing that such reforms are crucial for building public trust and securing a positive future for the country.
The talent hunt for Shakti Crown kicked off in Hatton today. This one-of-a-kind of music show brought to you by Shakti TV and Shakti FM is on a mission to unleash the raw talent of Sri Lanka and is in launching to the international stage.
Shakti Crown.
Do you dream of singing on the world stage? Shakti Crown, a unique 100% homegrown reality concept, discovers Sri Lankan gems and make them shine for generations to come. The Golden Mahal in Hatton buzzed with hundreds of talented voices, pouring their hearts out at the Shakti Crown auditions, showcasing their diverse skills. This groundbreaking music show, brought to you by Shakti TV and Shakti FM, propels raw Sri Lankan talent onto the international stage.
சந்தனக்காற்றே செந்தமிழ் ஊற்றே சந்தோஷப்பாட்டே வா வா ராக தீபம் ஏற்றும் நேரம் புயல் மழையோ
ஹட்டன் கோல்டன் மஹால் மண்டபத்தில் இன்றைய முதற்கட்ட குரல் தேர்வில் நூற்றுக்கணக்கிலானவர்கள் ஆர்வத்துடன் பங்கேற்றி தங்களுடைய திறமைகளை மிகச் சிறப்பாக வெளிப்படுத்தினர்.
இனதர் சென்று நாங்கள் வருகிறோம் அம்மா, காணாத காட்சியெல்லாம் கண்டோமே அம்மா, கண்கவரும் வண்ண மழை பூமிதானம்மா, காதலரின் பூங்காவும் அங்குதானம்மா, கஜு பெண்ணே காதல் கண்ணே.
So, did you miss the Hatton auditions? Don't worry, the talent hunt continues in Mathale tomorrow, then Bandarawela making its final stop at the Stein Studios in Ratmalana. This isn't just a competition, it is a launch pad to superstardom.
Shakti Crown.
Senegal's President Macky Sall pledged to organize presidential elections as soon as possible after Constitutional Council overruled his decision to delay this month's vote.
Senegal's president said the delayed election to choose his successor will be held as soon as possible after the top court ruled that his attempt to delay it was unconstitutional. President Macky Sall has served 2 terms in office. On Thursday, the Constitutional Council annulled President Sall's decree, moving the vote to December. It also voided the contentious bill passed by Parliament, which had backed the president's decree. The move will go some way to restoring Senegal's reputation as a bastion of democracy in West Africa. Ever since he announced he wanted to delay the elections 2 weeks ago, just hours before campaigns were meant to kick off, President Sall has been under immense pressure to reverse his decision. A new date for the elections has not yet been given, but in its ruling, the Constitutional Council said the president could not stay in power beyond the end of his term on the 2nd of April.
Meanwhile, the International Court of Justice has declined South Africa's urgent request to intervene in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict despite acknowledging the perilous situation in Rafah.
The International Court of Justice said it notes the perilous situation in the southern Gaza city of Rafah, but has declined South Africa's request for urgent measures to safeguard Palestinians being threatened by an Israeli ground assault there. The ICJ statement said, quote, "The court notes that the most recent developments in the Gaza Strip and in Rafah in particular would exponentially increase what is already a humanitarian nightmare with untold regional consequences, as stated by the United Nations Secretary General," unquote. It said the situation in Rafah demands immediate and effective implementation of the provisional measures indicated by the court in its order of 26th of January 2024, when it ordered Israel to take all steps within its power to ensure genocidal acts are not being committed in its war on Gaza. The statement added, however, the court does not demand the indication of additional provisional measures. South Africa said that it had lodged an urgent request with ICJ to consider whether Israel's military operations targeting Rafah breached provisional orders the court handed down last month in a case alleging genocide. Israel on Thursday called on the court to reject the request, saying South Africa's unjustifiable claims make clear that its requests is not driven by any change in circumstances, nor does it have any basis in fact or law.
The Jalajna Rally today added another eventful chapter to its journey.
Jalajna Rally.
අහසින් වැටෙන වැහි බිඳුවක් වක් නිකරුණේ සයුරට නොයේ.
The Jalajna Rally entered the sacred city of Anuradhapura today. The water collected from the Mahakandarava River, Kala River, Maminya River and the Maradakandalava Mahariver was then ceremoniously placed onto the special platform. Representatives from the Rajangani Agrarian Organization also contributed water from the Nachaduwa, Tissa and Nuwara valleys.
Sirasa holds a proud legacy of championing Sri Lanka's ancient irrigation system. Recently, they highlighted the critical issues in Tissamarama and Polonara, standing resolutely with farmers through challenges to defend the historic cascade system. The heartbreaking destruction of the ancient cascade system continues even today. Sirasa deserves recognition as the first to eliminate this critical issue. If unchecked, this trend threatens this very existence of all valleys, significantly jeopardizing future generations' water security. The potential loss of this system is a dire threat. We express our sincere gratitude to Sirasa for bringing this crucial matter to light.
Jalajna Rally. Justice for plantation workers. Old story, new story, same story.
The ruling party and the opposition had a huge celebration for the Malayaham 200 event, and even politicians from South India participated. The working people of the same community that the politicians celebrated are unable to feed themselves due to the enormous cost of living. The 200th anniversary was even celebrated in New Delhi, where the Indian government released a special postage stamp. But it is ironic that many of the plantation workers don't even have postal addresses to receive a letter with this stamp. So we have to question, how have these celebrations helped the 150,000 plantation workers in the country? This is something we need to ponder upon deeply.
The President called on the Planters Association to make a decision by the end of last year on the minimum 1,700 rupee daily wage that the workers were asking for. Meanwhile, SJB Member of Parliament Vadivel Suresh, who came to Parliament as a representative of the Badula district, was appointed the President's senior advisor on plantations. What has been the advantage to the plantation workers from all this advice?
The President made a request that we must consider increasing the salaries of the workers. We very clearly told the President that we will give whatever we can afford. We would also like to increase the workers' salaries. The President openly said that we should move towards a productivity-based salary. If we go towards a revenue sharing model, the workers can easily obtain a 2,300 rupee daily wage.
This year, 2024, is an election year. But will the political parties simply include the wages of the plantation workers in their manifestos and then once again use this issue as a weapon for their political ambitions?
Justice for plantation workers. Old story, new story, same story.
And with that, we wrap our primetime news for tonight. Thank you very much for joining us. You take care and good night.